As part of Walmart's information security team, Susan Graves is responsible for identifying vulnerabilities, assessing and determining technical risk, and working across teams to keep the company's technology environment secure. She's been with the company for 15 years, and she has worn many hats, from customer-facing field services, wireless network engineering, network security, and now cybersecurity risk analysis. Terrye Molz has been with the company for 23 years and has spent the last 11 in security vulnerability management, where she helped to develop the company's data discovery program. Her current role is risk lead on the Walmart's technical vulnerability management team. She is responsible for identifying vulnerabilities, assessing and determining technical risk, and working across teams to keep the company's technology environment secure. Now, Stanko Jankovic has earned an MVP status on the Crowd Bug Bounty platform in 2017, and after submitting many bugs to the Jet.com bug bounty program, he was recruited to join the Jet security team. He is currently responsible for leading the bug bounty programs here at Walmart and Jet. With that being said, a round of applause, make some noise for Susan Graves, Terrye Molz, and Stanko Jankovic.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. This talk will be about bug bounties. And first of all, happy May the 4th, everyone. My name is Stanko. I'm a former bug bounty hunter and the current bug bounty program manager at Walmart. When I started with bug bounties a few years ago as a bug bounty hunter, I did it mainly because I was looking for a career change. I wanted to get full-time into security, but I wasn't sure how to do that. And I thought, yeah, let's maybe do some bug bounty hunting, and maybe I'll have a chance to add some interesting stuff to my CV. And I was hoping that that would maybe get me a job in security. And it worked out pretty well, actually. Maybe in a different way than I imagined, but it worked out. And bug bounties were actually full of surprises to me as a bug bounty hunter. And they got me into a huge adventure, which is still ongoing. But that part of the story is not what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about the other part of the story, about the other side, about managing a bug bounty program. But what is bug bounty, actually? If you look it up on Wikipedia, you will see that it's basically a company rewarding or recognizing external researchers for submitting bugs to that company. But what is it to us, for us as a company? What is it for Walmart? Is it just having more eyes look at our assets? Or is it to catch vulnerabilities that we have missed to catch internally? Or is it more than that? To answer that question, I will compare bug bounties with a different approach with pen testing in this case. And this is not to identify which approach is better. This is only to show that those are two different approaches and that they give different results. For example, a pen tester will work based on a pen testing schedule. And that schedule is usually an advantage over the bug bounty hunter because it's created based on internal insights that the bug bounty hunter doesn't have, like what are new applications, what are applications that recently went through changes. But on the other hand, the bug bounty hunter has the freedom on his side to explore and to try to find the most vulnerable target at that moment in time and to attack that target first. And that is not necessarily a better approach or a worse approach, but it is a different approach and it gives us different results. And I would say that different is a key word here. A pen tester is tied to deadlines based on the schedule. And even if he thinks that there might be something behind a particular endpoint, he can't really afford to spend a whole week poking around that endpoint. But the bug bounty hunter, he's actually free to spend as much time as he wants if he believes there might be something behind an endpoint. And even if he gives up, he is free to return to that endpoint after a month or two and to continue poking around. And of course, spending so much time on one endpoint could be a huge waste of time. And this is not necessarily the better approach, but it's a different approach, and it can give us different results. A pen tester will usually focus on a particular scope that is defined based on the schedule. Compared to that, the bug bounty hunter is motivated to look at the target from a different perspective and to try to look at the target as a whole without having too much the scope in mind, which means that he is motivated to try to chain vulnerabilities across system in order to achieve a higher impact. And again, this is a different approach and can lead to different results. A pen test is usually a one-time test. That means that once it's done, you get a bunch of bugs out of it. The bugs are turned into a report. The report is filed. The bugs will eventually get fixed, but the problem is that once the pen test is done, the pen tester will move to the next target, and the previous target stops being a target, and we stop looking at it. On the other hand, a bug bounty hunter is motivated to monitor his targets for changes, because bugs are strange. They will appear in one place in one moment in time, and they will disappear in another moment in time just to reappear again somewhere else. And when I was a bug bounty hunter, I was doing a lot of monitoring too. I was writing scripts that would alert me about any changes in the targets I was looking at. And I would say that monitoring your targets is really one of the key factors in success when you are hunting for bugs. We have started our bug bounty adventure at Walmart in 2016 by starting a private bug bounty program with a limited scope and a limited number of researchers. But after some time, we have realized that the researchers, the external researchers that we have invited to our program, are not the only ones who want to look for bugs at our assets, and not the only ones who want to submit bugs to us. So we started actually receiving bugs not only through our bug bounty program, but people were approaching us through different emails, through Twitter, and so on. So we realized we need a better way to ingest bugs from external researchers. And that's when we have started our responsible disclosure program, which is basically a public forum available, which you can find by simply Googling for Walmart bug bounty or Walmart responsible disclosure. One of the first results should actually get you to the URL you see here. And that form can be used by anyone to submit vulnerabilities to us. And having such an official way to ingest vulnerabilities is really important, because if external researchers don't find the right contact person in the right amount of time, they will probably decide to do something else with the issue they have found. They may make it public or sell it somewhere else. But to get back to the original question, what was actually bug bounty for us? Was it just a pile of bugs, or was it more than that? When we looked closely at the bugs we have received, we have observed that it's more than just a pile of bugs, and we have learned actually a lot from it. Bug bounties have helped us to identify assets that we did not have on our map. That means assets that we either didn't know about, or assets that we didn't look at from the right perspective. Bug bounties have inspired us to develop tools, internal tools for identifying security issues, like for looking for leaked secrets on public GitHub repositories, or tools for looking for DNS misconfigurations that could lead to subdomain takeovers, or for other issues. And those tools are showing great results. And one interesting thing is that only after we have developed those tools, we have noticed how much also bug bounty hunters are relying on their own automation for identifying issues. Because once we get alerted by our internal tools that something's wrong, literally within minutes, we often get 2-3 reports via bug bounty for the same identical issues, which really shows how bug bounty hunters are also relying on automation. And you could say, in some kind of way, we are competing with the bug bounty hunters in looking for bugs, but in reality, we are actually competing with the bad guys. Bug bounty findings have really been crucial for us in prioritizing our pen tests. Bug bounties also made us much more aware. That means that whatever we do, starting with designing a system, over to coding the system, all the way to testing the system, we are aware that somebody will have a look at what we have created. And it's not just somebody, it will be hundreds of people who will be really motivated to find something that's wrong with what we have done. And that means that we are now really aware that whatever we do, we have to do it as close as perfect as possible. Security is not just about testing. Security should be part of every phase of the life cycle of a software, starting with writing the specifications over the designing phase, over coding the software, all the way up to testing the software. And bug bounties really helped us to identify at which phase of the software development lifecycle we are making our mistakes. And finally, bug bounties are really helping us to identify issues we would probably not have found internally. Not because we are doing something wrong, but because it's a different approach and it gets us different results. And we are very often surprised how looking at things differently, how changing issues across systems, how some crazy race conditions we would have never thought of could lead to critical issues we would definitely not have found internally. When thinking about the bug bounty program and when starting a bug bounty program, usually people have some obvious things in mind, like should the program be public or private? How many researchers should we invite? What should be the scope? What should be the rewards? And those are some important but obvious things that should be kept in mind when starting a bug bounty program. But there is much more than that actually happening behind the scenes. Having a solid vulnerability management system is important so that you can deal actually with the flood of reports you will start receiving. You have to have a solid method actually of delivering issues to your teams and a solid method of tracking them and making sure that SLAs are met. When thinking about the bug bounty program, you will probably think about all the cool bugs you will be receiving, about all the critical issues. But in reality, it's not really like that. You will be receiving a lot of noise, a lot of low severity bugs, and you will spend more time on that than you think. And it's important to be ready actually to draw a line between noise and valid bugs, because bugs are not just black and white. There is a lot in between, and you will often come across bugs that are technically bugs, but which you may not want to fix because maybe the risk or impact are very, very low, or maybe the fixes will have a negative impact on your customers. You will probably also have to keep in mind how to deal with critical issues. Maybe you want to have a different process for handling those. You will have to have in mind how to deal with duplicate issues, because not everything that's submitted through a bug bounty program is a new issue, which means you will have to know actually where to look for known issues, because bug bounty is not the only way. You are ingesting bugs, you will be ingesting bugs through other means like pen testing or vulnerability scanners, or maybe even the developers have their own issue tracking system where they have been made aware of an issue without us identifying it through pen testing or scanning. Validating fixes is another pretty time-consuming part of bug bounties. It sounds pretty simple, but in reality, it's not, because for every fix, there could be a bypass. And when you are validating a fix, you have to look for it. There may be a bypass, there may be not a bypass, but you have to look for it. You have to spend some time looking for it, because if you don't find it, somebody else will find it. Standardizing payouts is another really important factor. You want to reward your researchers fairly, because researchers, external researchers, are a limited resource, especially the good ones. And if you're not rewarding them fairly, you will run out of them. And on the other hand, another problem could also be rewarding particular reports too high or higher than usual, because that could raise the expectation of that particular researcher for the next reports he's submitting, and that is not optimal either. So you see, there is a lot of things actually happening behind the scenes, and the second part of the presentation will be focused actually on the part that is happening behind the scenes, especially on a focus on critical issues, and my colleagues Susan and Terry will be presenting that part.
Yoo-hoo. Hi. Okay, now you can. So before we get started, I want everybody to get up. Stand up. It's like almost 2 o'clock. We've all been here all day. Everybody's ate. This is about the time I start getting kind of sleepy. So I'm going to make everybody get up, kind of move around. And then when you sit back down, you're going to hear about Stardust. All right, everybody can sit back down. Everybody's awake. Everybody's alert. So what we're going to walk you through is a scenario about application Stardust, and I'm glancing through the audience to see if anybody realizes where I got Stardust. Hands. Besides Jesse, you don't count. Okay, so Stardust actually came from the Death Star plans. They had called it Project Stardust. I'm going to keep with the theme here, and you're going to see my major Stardust or Star Wars geek come out of me. But we're going to walk it through a scenario where a bug bounty hunter just started attacking an application. This application is very, very, very old. It's legacy. It's been around for forever. It served its purpose. It's got its return on investment over and over and over and over again, but it's used everywhere. Keep in mind, it's being pegged and pegged. We're getting all these findings in for this thing. We go to try to figure out how to fix it, and we try to figure out who owns the stuff within it, who wrote it, who can help us out. We sit in a room, someone says Bob wrote it 15 years ago. No one knows Bob. So I don't know if anybody else has had that same situation. We've had it here multiple times. But when you walk through this type of thing, you've got to start thinking of how you're going to attack that. Bob wrote it a long time ago. No one knows Bob. So let's figure out how we can work through what Bob wrote and tackle it. What do you do with it? Remember, it's being pegged. It's causing chaos. It's taxing your teams. You have all these findings out there you don't know how to fix because Bob wrote it. So let's just get rid of it, right? Just turn it off, shut it down. You know you can't do that. My slide's not working. It's okay. So there's going to be like a Lego figure thing up there that says you can't use the Force. The Force doesn't work like that. But anyways. And then we're going to go into the Boba effect. And introducing Terry. She works with me here at Walmart.
So everyone has technical debt. Whether you know it or not, you have technical debt. And when you fire up a bug bounty program, that is going to become very, very, what's the word?
Taxing.
It's taxing.
Chaos.
Chaos.
You have to consume it.
That's your Stardust. So while you're sitting here, I want you to be thinking, what is my Stardust? Because you have one, whether you know it or not. And so when you start it, it will feel like these bounty hunters never sleep. And it's because they're coming from all over the globe. So they're operating on their own hours, their own time zones, and it is just coming at you and coming at you. And we were pegged. And the most crucial thing that you have to do whenever you're dealing with this is know your owners, know your business partners. Because when you have to make that call at 3 a.m., you better have the right person that you are calling at 3 a.m. because they're not happy. You have to let them wake up because they're not coherent. And then make sure that you are clear, you are concise. You tell them exactly what is wrong, what you expect, when you expect it, and how they're supposed to get back a hold of you. Don't forget to loop in your incident response team. Let's see what your impact has been. And then you're done, right? Well, coders are notorious for using their code over and over and over. And hey, Susan, I got this. Do you need to use this? And she goes, sure. And she deploys it too.
Bob could have been very, very popular.
Right.
And used widely everywhere.
So look at your other URLs. Look at your other applications. Make sure that they didn't use that over and over again. Because if not, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving and giving at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., at 5 a.m., okay? So look everywhere you've put it. And when you're getting pegged and pegged and pegged, it's easy to get numb and you think, oh, just fix it, just fix it. Stanko, validate this for me, just close it. I mean, come on. You need to learn from every time it happens because you need to adjust. You need to modify what you're doing and keep looking at everything. Sometimes when it happens, you're thinking, okay, I can just mitigate this. Let me just get this part done. It's okay to mitigate it and then remediate it, but you have to attack root cause at some point. So don't forget that step. And then most importantly, when the dust starts to die down, thank everybody who worked with you because you will be seeing them again and again for a while until it's done.
So after walking through the things that Terrye just walked through and thinking more on the positive side of it and why it's more, instead of being pegged and pegged and pegged at 3, 4, 5 a.m., let's move to more of a good thing.
Let's be positive.
So what's good is Bug Bounty found it and it wasn't actually exploited. Stanko kind of talked about that a little bit at the beginning, the difference between different types of ways you pull that data in. That is one of the major things that Bug Bounty does for us. Someone else that had malicious intent did not get a hold of it.
It does build some really strong relationships with your business partners. They become your advocates.
And then internal process refinement. I am hoping you are continuously improving your processes all the time. But with Bug Bounty and some of the things that you might get in that you aren't aware of whatsoever, this might help you refine those processes differently. So the next time it happens, because it's going to keep happening, you're going to keep getting those odd things in, you are able to address those differently each time.
Be sure to communicate back the things that you find to your project management team and your business partners so that they can improve their processes as much as you're improving your own.
And then more developers wearing security hats. Me being an InfoSec, if everything just relied on my area when it came to security, we would fail. Everybody out there, wherever, whatever team you're on, if you're infrastructure, if you're in development, if you're a coder, whatever you do, if you do not put that security hat on and help influence your areas, it's going to fail. Everybody has to have a security hat, and doing this helps also influence that.
So to recap, knowing your scope, knowing your researchers, knowing your rewards are very important, but obvious things you have to plan ahead when starting a bug bounty program. But as we said, there is a lot more than that behind the scenes.
When you're assessing the situation, you have to run fast, and that's understandable. Run fast, but don't forget to adhere to your protocols. And then when you remediate them, attack root cause. And I can't stress it enough. thank the people that work with you.
And at the end, always let the Wookiee win. And by the way, that's my son.
Round of applause, everybody.